please remember to leave a like, a comment, share the video about, and if you haven't already, subscribe. Thank you. Well, isn't this just fantastic? Captain's Log, Subdates 230404.9. You may have noticed we skipped April Fool's Day, and that's because that on this ship is haram, and is therefore not something that we will tolerate, except on Bork, because he deserves all the pranks and/or all the abuse. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. You may have noticed over the past few weeks, months, years maybe, we've done a lot of extra this week at Twitters and exhibitions of stupid people, and that is because the news hasn't been as exciting, but I've had far too many extra sources left over from this week at Twitter and exhibition of stupid people, so I made them into extra videos because I knew if I'd made them into one very long video, yes I malfunctioned a little there, it would not do well in the long term. Today though, we're not doing a This Week at Twitter, we're doing a response video. 2 videos in fact. Seen on Twitter. So what we'll do, we'll go through the tweet, some of the replies, look at the video, then move to the second video, a follow-up video in fact. This is going to be fun folks, I promise, maybe. So on the 30th of March 2023, Billboard Chris tweeted, "Is this feminism? No man should ever say, 'Excuse me ma'am,' to a woman." Replies underneath, "I hope she never drops her wallet," although this is him continuing his tweet, and a gentleman tries to return it. Even Dylan Mulvaney? She would probably give him a hug. In before someone gets a bit snowflakery, I'm reading directly from the tweet, not giving an opinion on the tweet. I've seen Dylan recently get an endorsement with Bud Light. That is interesting. Lisa, call me ma'am, I prefer it. If they can demand to be called a woman when they are not, I can ask to be called ma'am because I am a woman. Billboard Chris replies, "Her issue is that a man started to talk to her. She doesn't know why he did. He's just not allowed to because all men are threats and should never talk to half of the human population." So with this all in mind, and some spoilers in there of course, let's now go to the video.
I'm literally shaking right now because I just had a man approach me in a parking lot.
In broad daylight, in what I can tell to be quite a full car park, that is truly terrifying stuff. Did one know his intentions before he spoke?
And it went fine, and I'm going to tell you why it went fine and how to address it, because it was in a book I read, and this is how you're supposed to address it, but it scared me.
The book wasn't called How To, the Blonde Edition, was it? Because I've seen versions of that around. You'll often find, if a blonde has read it, it'll have Tipex on for what they perceive to be a spelling mistake, when in reality it's spelled correctly, they were just looking at it wrong.
I'm literally shaking. So this guy, I am alone with my son, by myself, a woman, and a male approached me in a parking lot. He's, "Excuse me, miss," and I don't know.
Do you believe that at all times you need some kind of guardian? You're literally shaking. You're literally afraid. Do you require a soothing medicament? Skittles, perhaps? Maybe something to take the edge off those shakes? Like heroin?
Why in the hell he was approaching me or what he was trying to do. And before he was probably 30 feet from me when he said, "Excuse me, ma'am."
30 feet? Is that it? He had to have called over, which means he would have drawn the attention of other people. If you said 30 centimeters, you might have had something that would be seen less as an overreaction. 30 feet, for those who don't know, is 9.1 meters. Because I can math. This isn't rocket science, folks. 30 feet, 9 meters. That's a fair distance, to be honest. You only said 30 feet because it sounds like a more impressive number. Is this a joke? Is this a Poe? Are you trying to sensationalize for clicks because TikTok? You're not like Gabby Hanna with her bedtime stories, are you?
And I turned around and I literally yelled at him and I said, "Do not approach me."
So with no context as to why the man had called for you, to you, at you, you told him to back off because of your own irrationality. Without knowing anything about the situation, you immediately assumed the worst. What does that say about the environment you cultivate, you live within, I guess? And by that I mean the imaginary one, because it's possible you're off your meds. This speaks volumes about who you really are, if that's your immediate response.
And he immediately started going in the other direction, and I just kept saying it over and over and over. I said, "Do not approach me, do not approach me."
So you have no idea why he was calling for you or to you, at you? You just acted like a boss bitch and I don't know, watched him as he... Did you perhaps consider rolling for initiative to see if you could attack him first? You may well find after that absolute rollicking, his 2+ armor save has gone down to a 4+, possibly even 5+ on a d6. You have a great chance of wounding him. Pride's one thing, but if he fails a leadership test, he may evacuate his bowels.
And he, of course, like, got like, what the F did it? Like, he started cussing and yelling, like, what's your problem? And I looked at him, and he actually then crossed a couple cars down from my car.
So you have no idea why he was calling for you or to you, at you? You just acted like a boss bitch and I don't know, watched him as he... Did you perhaps consider rolling for initiative to see if you could attack him first? You may well find after that absolute rollicking, his 2+ armor save has gone down to a 4+, possibly even 5+ on a d6. You have a great chance of wounding him. Pride's one thing, but if he fails a leadership test, he may evacuate his bowels.
He didn't come anywhere near me. He crossed a couple cars down from my car and was like, continuing to cuss and say, what's your problem?
No offense intended here, Blondie, but he has a point. What is your problem? You read something in a book and you lash out without even knowing what his intentions were. You could have said, yes, how can I help you? And if you weren't comfortable, say, can you please respect my space? If he didn't, please make sure your car's unlocked, get inside, lock the doors, and quickly drive away. But then again, there are security cameras there. The car park looked fairly full, which means it was a busy environment. I doubt, beyond you making a scene, anyone would have, let's say, not intervened if he had tried something untoward. But I always seek to see the best in people. You apparently, based on a book called How to, the Blonde Edition, see all the negative. You're a bit black-pilled, aren't you?
And I say, you do not approach women in a parking lot. I just kept saying, do not approach me. You do not approach women in a parking lot, like yelling it.
Why not? Are we supposed to be a segregated society of men and women? Because that's how you make it seem. Unless you have a guardian there to protect you and hold your hand and make sure you're safe. Do you want to live in a zorb? Would you perhaps like a lollipop for good behavior? A certificate of achievement? Your own battle report edition in White Dwarf? You realize how precious you come across if you think this is how an equal society is supposed to treat each other, where you act like a boss bitch from your book that tells you how to behave. I bet that book was written by a man.
No male should ever approach a woman in a parking lot.
I feel like reductio ad absurdum needs to apply here. What if he's approaching because he's going to the car next to yours? Should there be a car park for men and a car park for women? And then one for couples? Couples being male-male, male-female, female-female, and all the others, of course, for every other individual gender. In fact, you know they have, in parking lots, they have signs on the floor for disabled parking, and for those who have children with them to give you better spaces, yeah? Well, now they need to all be different types of rainbow, and then one for the single lonely woman who's angry. So it would just be a picture of you with your rough eyebrows drawn on but pointing down for frown.
No male should ever approach a woman in a parking lot. And if a male does approach you, you need to turn around and use the strongest voice that you can possibly use with them. Don't be polite. They need to literally screw off. No male should be approaching you in a parking lot.
I want you to remember this, everyone. If you are male, you must never in a parking lot approach a Wammin, and in the strongest possible voice ever, that will in turn sound like the cliche anti-hero voice you hear in every TV show ever. You know where the female is usually the bad guy? They push their voice and it sounds really bad. They try and make it sound deeper and more imposing and it sounds horrendous. You then use that voice and you tell them men's, you must not approach me, even if they are your driver. Husband perhaps, maybe sitting in the passenger seat. No, you cannot approach me. If you have my purse, don't worry, you can keep it. Don't approach me. Put it on the floor, kick it towards me maybe. You may keep the money though. Oh, you can't keep the money? We can keep it anyway because you're going to rob me now. You see how stupid this all sounds? You're an idiot. But it gets better, everyone, because there's a tweet, a follow-up from Billboard Chris. I recognized your name recently. It took me a second to remember. You recently assaulted at a rally for having a billboard on yourself, hence your name, and the police said you brought it on yourself, which I thought was hilarious. He tweeted, now she's mad that no one approached her at the grocery store. The video is only 26 seconds long, so this isn't going to be too bad. Underneath, people ask if it's the same woman, and you can totally tell that this is performative. You should not be boosting these people's profile by sharing out their videos. The interesting thing is, That video on Danielle's TikTok has done quite well, but the comments are turned off. She got a lot of comments saying this is over the top, and she did respond to those comments. Many within those comments accusing her again of being over the top because the comments were enabled this time. Let's play this clip though to see the hypocrisy.
So my husband took my son grocery shopping. You know where this is going, right? Guess how many people came up to him in the grocery store and were just oohing and awing over the baby and telling him what a great job he was doing. Guess how many people come up to me when I'm grocery shopping with him?
I would first like to start by taking the opportunity to apologise for that audio violation. That is from her video and I could not fix it. It's fascinating to me that this was the complaint, this is the problem. No one approached me. No one showered me with attention. When I think of people who are like this, hypocrites in their own way, my initial thought is the following clip. Additionally, someone might notice that the TikTok name on that video is different to that on the Living Transparently one. Yes, however, Danielle's full name is on the Living Transparently TikTok page, and it coincides quite handily with the name used on that video you just saw. I pay enough attention, alright? I'm a boomer, but I'm not that much of a boomer, okay? This level of double standard, or one rule at this point, but not in this instance, yeah, fascinates me. While they're two totally separate instances, I think you're applying your rules incorrectly, inaccurately, and are looking for a reason to be cross at someone.
How did you get up there? What happened?